the day the sky turned red, a war attempt on American soil. For centuries, the land of America had been a symbol of strength, security, and resilience. It had fought wars abroad, protected its people, and stood as a beacon of power. But no enemy had ever dared to bring full-scale war to its soil until now. It began with whispers in the dark. Unmarked ships moved silently across the oceans. Fighter jets disappeared from radars. Strange signals interrupted military communications. The world did not know it yet, but a storm was coming. On a cold morning in New York City, as millions of people moved through their daily routines, a sound shattered the sky, a deafening explosion. A massive fireball erupted near the Statue of Liberty, shaking the earth and sending waves crashing against the shore. Smoke rose into the sky, darkening the morning sun. Before anyone could react, fighter jets, painted with no national insignia, screamed over the skyline, releasing missiles onto key locations. The Brooklyn Bridge collapsed in a ball of fire. The Empire State Building shook from the impact of a direct hit. The people of America watched in horror as something they had never imagined was happening before their eyes. Across the country, coordinated attacks erupted. Washington, D.C., the White House was placed on lockdown as unknown forces attempted to breach the city. Los Angeles, explosions rocked the harbors as enemy forces targeted shipping routes. Texas border, armed convoys poured into the desert, moving fast, striking key outposts. From the skies, paratroopers descended like shadows, landing in strategic locations. Saboteurs emerged from hiding, cutting off power, destroying communication towers. This was no act of terror. This was an invasion. Within minutes, the President of the United States activated the highest level of national defense. Fighter jets scrambled from hidden airbases. Warships in the Atlantic and Pacific moved into position. Thousands of soldiers were deployed onto the streets, armed and ready. Across the cities, American citizens did not run. They armed themselves, barricaded neighborhoods, and prepared to fight. The enemy had underestimated America. In the heart of New York, enemy soldiers attempted to seize control, but the U.S. Marines arrived in full force. Tanks rolled down the streets, fighter jets clashed in the sky, and snipers took positions on rooftops. The battle for the city raged for hours. Helicopters patrolled the skies, engaging enemy aircraft. Ground troops stormed enemy strongholds, reclaiming captured zones. Civilians helped evacuate the wounded while also resisting the invaders. By nightfall, the invading forces were pushed back to the harbors. Their ships, once symbols of dominance, were now targets for U.S. battleships, which fired relentlessly. The waters turned to fire as the enemy fleet burned. The invasion of New York had failed. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., the enemy had hoped to deliver a death blow by storming the Capitol and taking control of the government. But the U.S. military was waiting. Special forces infiltrated enemy command posts, cutting off their leadership. Cyber warfare units disabled enemy satellites and drones. The National Guard launched a massive counteroffensive, reclaiming lost territory. As dawn broke over the nation, the last enemy forces were surrounded. Their leaders surrendered, their weapons were seized, and their invasion had crumbled before the might of a united people. The battle was over. The war attempt had failed. The enemy, whoever they were, had learned a lesson. America was not just land, it was its people. No matter the threat, the spirit of the nation would never break. And as the sun rose over the city, shining through the smoke, the American flag still stood, waving in the wind, a symbol of freedom, resilience, and victory. Moral of the story. Strength is not just in weapons, but in unity. Freedom is never given, it is defended. A nation that stands together can never fall. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.